Looks like he's saying here that he can't throw, he can't do it. Aaron told us about the wrist injury.
To pull it. Oh, now we're getting serious now. Trent Williams has had enough.
Out of all the possible scenarios that could have occurred today, I think this was the worst case scenario. No, not necessarily in the sense that I had a horse in this race in regards to which team wins, because at the end of the day, I dislike both teams. The San Francisco 49ers ended the Dallas Cowboys season, and the Philadelphia Eagles are my favorite teams, arch rivals. But the way this game ended just didn't have that gritty championship feel to it, and the reason why it's so sad is it was out of everyone's control. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow, because we're going to be triple uploading today. And now that we get all that out of the way, the last time this happened, every single subscriber that rode with me ended up making bank. PrizePicks is once again giving us a free square, which means Joe Burrow needs only 1 passing yard or more for you to fulfill his square, which means if we make 1 more correct pick, then we 3x our money. But I'm feeling really froggy and I have a plan for us to 5x our money. Step 1 is you need to go right now in the description down below and sign up for PrizePicks using my promo code microphone. When you do that, they'll match your deposit up to $100. Once you deposited your money, ride with me on these picks. Because the last time I made picks, we ended up cashing with the free square. We're gonna do Joe Burrow more than 0.5 passing yards because duh! We're gonna do Travis Kelce more than 0.5 receiving touchdowns because, well, that's kind of also duh. And finally, we're gonna do the same thing for Ja'Marr Chase. Because at the end of the day, if Joe Burrow's having a good game, usually Ja'Marr Chase is too. Let me know in the comment section down below if you're tailing me for this one. And if you want to see additional picks that I'm making for the weekend, make sure you're following me on Instagram. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The NFC Championship actually started out with a ton of drama. I think my favorite moment in the very beginning, before the game even started, was the fact that there were some fans chirping at Nick Bosa's brother, Joey Bosa. And the exchange is hysterical. Look at this.
When did the Chargers play this week?
Are you Snapchatting your little butt buddies?
No, I'm just videoing you. The guy who's not playing today.
And I have to admit, you could tell when someone truly gets underneath another individual's skin when they end up saying what Joey Bosa said as he was walking away.
Good, because I can afford them.
So can I. Me too. Me too.
That's how you know, like, automatically you piss someone off. If they're ever using the finance card,
Oh, I'm richer than you. I'm better than you.
that's when you automatically know you pissed a man off. And obviously, Philadelphia Eagles fans are known for being a little ruthless, especially given the fact that they're in the NFC Championship. I would have expected nothing less from Philadelphia Eagles fans, but, you know, for the most part, I just thought that was a pretty comical exchange between the two. This game started out pretty promising. I mean, there was a very strong defensive effort by the San Francisco 49ers that ended in a very controversial 4th down where Jalen Hurts found Devontae Smith for a 4th down conversion, and it looked like a beautiful catch at first, and then you take a closer look and you realize that technically Devontae Smith didn't make a reception. Fortunately for the Philadelphia Eagles, they already scored a touchdown by the time people found out, and just like that, the Eagles are up by a touchdown. By the way, I know we were talking about how ferocious the San Francisco 49ers defense is. The Philadelphia Eagles defense is something that is periodically spoken about. We talk about it a lot on this channel because I think Howie Roseman just did a fantastic job putting this team together. I mean, you've heard it all off season long, man. Like, the trade for AJ Brown aside, which was an insane trade given how AJ Brown put up a record-breaking season for the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's just put that aside for a second. The trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the signing of Hassan Reddick, the drafting of Jordan Davis, the signing of James Bradbury. This team was put together, especially the defense, by a series of very intelligent offseason transactions. It wasn't necessarily the pursuit of very flashy names, rather it was analyzing very talented players and making sure that you add them to the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's how they got to the position that they were in. That's why, even though I dislike the team as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I have tremendous respect for a general manager that really knows how to put a team together. That's what Howie Roseman did. He saw that Jalen Hurts was on a rookie scale contract, which, by the way, is 1 year shorter than the average quarterback that's drafted in the NFL draft, because Jalen Hurts was drafted in the second round as opposed to the first round. When you're drafted in the first round, you have a 5th-year option that a team could accept on you, which essentially pays you on the rookie scale for 1 additional year. But since Jalen Hurts got drafted in the second round, there is going to be a lot of pressure for the Philadelphia Eagles to sign him to a gigantic contract extension following this year, which means this is the Eagles Super Bowl window right now, and Howie Roseman understood this. As a result, there's a remarkable supporting cast around Jalen Hurts. But that aside, following this is where the game got a little one-sided. Hassan Reddick made one hell of a play on Brock Purdy, which resulted in a fumble that would get recovered by the Philadelphia Eagles. But the unfortunate part about this is, well, Brock Purdy would be too injured to return to the game. Following that, Josh Johnson would come in, and as you could expect, the offense slowed down a little bit because I highly doubt the 49ers anticipated needing to insert Josh Johnson into the game at any point. And this was very indicative of their entire season. I mean, from the very beginning, the 49ers were applauded for bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back on a backup quarterback salary just in the event that things didn't work out with Trey Lance. They also drafted Brock Purdy with the final pick in the NFL draft just in case something else were to happen to Jimmy Garoppolo. The odds of that happening were very slim. Who would have thought that they would be placed in a situation where Trey Lance would get injured in the beginning of the season, then Jimmy Garoppolo would take over, and then Jimmy Garoppolo would get injured, and thankfully they ended up drafting a quarterback with the final pick in the NFL draft, and then he would take them all the way to the NFC Championship, only to get injured in the NFC Championship. Josh Johnson would come in at a specific point, but then he would sustain an injury throughout the NFC Championship, and then Brock Purdy had to return. I mean, it was either Brock Purdy or you had to have Christian McCaffrey play your quarterback position, but this is just a truly unfortunate way for your season to end. That's what I mean when I say the 49ers went out sad, and it's not even really their fault. This is just a really crappy part of the game that we all enjoy and love. This team was constructed beautifully. I always had tremendous respect for the San Francisco 49ers, despite them consistently ending my favorite team's season year after year after year. I mean, the offensive scheme that Kyle Shanahan has is brilliant. They made all the right moves throughout the season. Trading for Christian McCaffrey was a home run. Signing Deebo Samuel paid off tremendously. They had a really strong offensive line. Brandon Ayuk was really starting to take the next step in the offense this season. George Kittle is a top 2 or top 3 tight end, depending on who you ask. Then you get to their defense. The signing of Travarius Ward paid off. You have Fred Warner, who is one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL. And that's before we get to Nick Bosa and that defensive line. It just seemed like this team had what it takes to make it to the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, a huge part of making it to the Super Bowl is just getting lucky in the sense that your best players don't get injured. And that's a huge part of the NFL and an unfortunate part for the San Francisco 49ers. If there is one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles had the 49ers beat at, it's the fact that they had tremendous amounts of depth. I mean, you look at the quarterback position. If Jalen Hurts goes out, Gardner Minshew is a very capable backup. Although Eagles fans weren't necessarily impressed with his brief tenure as the starting QB for the Philadelphia Eagles, I genuinely believe Gardner Minshew could start in this league. You look at their entire defense, they consistently rotate very high-end pass rushers, and that's been working for them. The one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles have had this season is depth, and they were lucky in the sense that their best players didn't sustain tremendous injuries. Of course, there's Jalen Hurts in his shoulder, but obviously he's fine enough to play on it. So just an unfortunate way for the 49ers season to end. And there's a lot of questions about the future of the San Francisco 49ers now that it's ended. Primarily, what is their future at quarterback going to look like? I mean, you gave up 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance, and one could assume that the plan was for Trey Lance to be your future at the quarterback position. At the same time, when healthy, Brock Purdy went undefeated as a starter, threw 13 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in the regular season, and completed 67% of his passes. He was a media darling for the entire storyline of his career this year. And at the very minimum, whatever happens for the San Francisco 49ers at the quarterback position, I think Brock Purdy comes out as a huge winner, because at the very minimum, the 49ers can now move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy at the very minimum has a role in the NFL as a high-end backup, and he could just sit there, wait for his contract to end, or sit there and wait for some team to trade for him. And then I'm sure at some point or another, this young man's going to see millions of dollars, and good for him. I am a believer that he definitely is a product of a fantastic system by Kyle Shanahan, but at the same time, that's worked for him, good for him, I'm happy for him. And maybe he's able to succeed elsewhere as well. I don't necessarily know. At the end of the day, this is something we're going to keep an eye on throughout the offseason, and I think we're going to talk about it ad nauseum throughout the offseason, so I'm not going to really get into it right now. For now, I want to say congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. It pains me to say this, but congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for making it to the Super Bowl. Ever since the end of the Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson era, this team has consistently made the right decision to put them back in this position to win a Super Bowl. So they definitely deserve it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.